I'm Kahja Elliott, and I'm a food enthusiast. Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming. And I talk to people about how they create community through food in the Bay and beyond. Welcome to the As Told By podcast. We are back with a new episode this week of the As Told By podcast from beautiful Berkeley, California. I'm in one of my favorite restaurants because I have history here, Tarocco in Berkeley with Sequoia Del Hoyo. Hey, girl, hey.
Hi, Kahja. Thanks so much for coming. This is such a treat.
I know. We've been talking about doing this for a minute. Yeah. Now, I mentioned that I have history here. So this was the site of the 2023 K in the Bay curated dining event where we partnered with, we had a chef come down from Harlem, and we did a menu inspired by foods of the Black diaspora. And I have to say, this is the best rose latte in town. This latte has been the highlight of my day.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it's good to see you again.
You too, always.
Yes. So also, some of you might remember the Table for Two series I did with the Town Experience. Our first episode was shot here at Tarocco. So I love this place. It's always a good time when I come here. Yeah. So tell people who might not have been here before the concept for this restaurant, because I think it's actually really interesting.
Sure. So Tarocco is a cafe, an event space, a curated meal program, and a Mediterranean lifestyle brand. And so all of those things together in one. One is not more than another.
Okay, now break that down, because people may, event space we got, but you called it a lifestyle brand. Talk about what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of go back for a second and say, like, when I started, like, Tarocco kind of happened organically during the pandemic. You probably know that I had a restaurant previously called Sequoia Diner, and during the pandemic, I was getting hit up frequently to the point where I was like, there's something here about eating kind of the food that I was making at home, which was very different than the food I was making at my prior restaurant.
Okay.
Which is, I'm celiac, so I make a lot of like vegetable forward dishes, and really healthy, lots of protein, and people were like, where do I get that? And I was like, I think there's something there. Like, I think I need to like listen to what my audience is wanting, and I think we could do a meal delivery program. And as you know, like, breakfast doesn't really translate well to to-go food, and so I was like, I'm going to make salads and I'm going to deliver them to people's doors and do it myself. And in the beginning, that's what I did, and it was wild, and I was way in over my head. But then that was a really wild year for me. I don't know how much we need to go into that, but like,
if you are in the restaurant industry and you survived 2020, good for you. You've got the story to show.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I was also going through a divorce. I was also leaving the restaurant that was my entire life, my entire community, and I kind of stayed at the diner for a year after we had separated, and I was running Tarocco out of Sequoia Diner, and then I needed a space after that to, you know, make my meals in. And someone had reached out to me about this space kind of in the middle of that, and they were like, hey, we want another Sequoia Diner. And I was like, have you seen the like craziness that has been my life? Like, do you have any idea like how much my life is blowing up right now? Like, absolutely not. No way. I'm not going to open another restaurant. And I came in because I needed a kitchen to look at it again, and I was like, oh my God, like, this space is so beautiful. And I saw like that it was so much more. And at the time, everybody was needing like a space to connect and kind of get away from the chaos that it was, and like feel safe and be fed nutrient-rich meals. And so I was like, you know, what do I have to lose? Like, let's just give it a go. And I have an incredible landlord, and so we kind of collaborated on this space, and I came in very naively and opened up as a cafe with the intent to use the kitchen for the meal delivery service. And then it just kind of turned into something a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, if you haven't been here, it's a gorgeous space. It's all done in neutrals. The colors are very light, and there are windows around the entire perimeter of the restaurant space. It really is a gorgeous space, and it does fit so easily into that Mediterranean vibe. So I can see, and that's why I wanted to have you talk about that a bit, because I can see how it fits into an overall lifestyle.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And then you have on top of that this healthful menu, right, that people can enjoy when they come here. And it's so different than what people may associate with, I'm going to go have a quote unquote healthy meal, because there are so many herbs and finishes, and things are roasted, and vegetables are charred, and there's texture, and you can see all the things, and there's always a perfectly jammy egg ready to go on your food. And so you get these beautiful curated almost dishes of all of this healthy, amazing food, grains, protein, etc. Yeah. You also are, I noticed, one of not many, I think the only restaurant like in this small area here. So do you have a captive audience? Are you like, by location, you're wrangling people into eating well?
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny because the first year it was very different. We were kind of, things were going back and forth because of COVID. Like, we weren't really able to open up fully, and like my whole, the whole plan when I opened was to have all the food out. I don't know if you know this, but my family's from Barcelona, and so the food style of eating there is very much an aesthetic experience as well. And so that was really important to me. I wanted people to come in and be able to like eat with their eyes first and see what they wanted, and so that got shut down. And so I was doing mainly online ordering for the first year, and I had to kind of change my plan, which was a big bummer. But in the last, so 2 years ago, my new partner in life, and he's also a brilliant chef and has a great pedigree. You want to say that word, I hate the word, but
that's helpful.
But he, I had the honor of him joining the team and kind of bringing his own style to it. We think very like-mindedly when it comes to food, and so we were like, yeah, let's pare back, let's put all the food out again on the counter and see if that works. And it has. And so, yeah, I think that it's really, it is enticing to eat good food when it looks good and it smells good.
Yes. And I love what you're saying about the concept. So first of all, if you haven't traveled to the region, you make a good point about the way they dine in Barcelona, right? And this is very, of course, likened to that. When you come in, you see everything laid out so differently than just looking at a menu. And it's just left to your interpretation, of what you think you want or what you typically get. But you might find yourself here getting things that you've never had before because you see it. And you're like, oh, this is interesting, or it's colorful, or, it looks like it's really well prepared and I want to try that. So I think having that food laid out is the first thing that when people walk in, they're like, I want this, and that.
Yeah.
Like I did today. Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of people come in and try things, like you said, that they haven't had before. And a lot of times we haven't had them before either, and we just kind of come up with something on the spot. But when you kind of have an understanding of the ingredients you're working with, you have an understanding of the seasons, you can kind of have the sense to put things together that maybe someone hasn't had before. Yes. And it creates this new, really fun experience.
I think I had sweet potatoes today. Was that feta on the sweet potatoes?
Yeah, they were like stewed sweet potatoes with feta and cilantro.
I can stop putting, butter and cinnamon on sweet potatoes, I can put feta.
You can, but you can also keep putting butter and cinnamon. That will also be really good.
I have new combination ideas now. Okay, so that gives us a foundation of what you're doing now. But let's take it back a little bit, because you did say, this is not, by far your first rodeo in the restaurant. So what was your entree into the restaurant industry? And was that always what you've been doing?
Yeah, I mean, my first job was at like a chain restaurant when I was 15. I grew up in Vallejo. There wasn't much else than that. And it was just, for me, it represented freedom, like a job. I was working until, on school nights, I think as like a junior in high school, I was working until 2 a.m. sometimes, which was wild. But I was so excited because I was like, I have money in my pocket that I can do whatever I want with. And it just represented so much more to me. Mm-hmm. And I really haven't done anything else, honestly. I worked at a few restaurants in Napa, and I moved to Berkeley when I was 21 and started working at this restaurant called La Note in downtown Berkeley.
The breakfast place that I could never get into. Yes.
Dorothée is my mentor, and she's a really big part of this puzzle that I can share later. But she's a powerhouse, and she's a mom, and anyway, I just worked for her for 10 years, but in that time, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't have any direction, honestly. I think I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what it was. I knew it wasn't ever going to be college for me. Mm-hmm. I dabbled, but more than anything, I wanted to travel and make music. At the time, I was in band, whatever, but I just wanted to travel. And a big part of my story is that I've had a really complicated relationship with my dad, mm-hmm. who is Spanish, and I didn't really understand my identity. I was really confused about a lot of details, and so a part of my story was really going and traveling there as much as I could to connect with my family and kind of understand it on my own terms, mm-hmm. And with my own eyes. And so that was in my early 20s till I met my ex-husband. That's what I was doing. I was just working, coming back, waitressing, saving money, going to Spain. Mm-hmm. And that was the best education I think I could have ever gotten. Yeah. But then I don't know. It's so funny because I was just talking about this, how the idea of opening a restaurant to me felt so intangible as a kid. I just thought you had to be this person with a massive amount of money that can just go in, and I was always seeing it being a man, or all these things that were just, I wasn't taught. We weren't taught back then at the time that a woman can just go in and open a restaurant by herself,
or many other
things, and so it wasn't an option. I think if I saw that as an option when I was a kid, I would have always known that that's what I wanted to do, but it just wasn't. So yeah, I think I was just having this conversation with someone when I was probably in my mid-20s, and he was just this kind of goon, and he was talking to me, and he was like, yeah, I think I'm going to open a restaurant. I want to open a restaurant. I was like, wait, you can do that? And he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to figure it out. And I was like, well, you can do that. I can do that. Mm-hmm. And so then I just became completely obsessed with it. And I met my ex-husband, who was a chef. Mm-hmm. And I think I just casually one day was like, do you ever think about owning a restaurant? And he was like, yeah, I think about it. And I was like, I think I want to do that. I think that's all I want to do.
Okay, now this would be all right. So now, a huge difference between working in restaurants, owning a restaurant, working in a restaurant you own with someone you're married to. That's a spectrum. There. So as you moved into restaurant ownership, what are some of the things that immediately were like, oh, this is going to be real different?
Well, the thing is that we also had never worked together. And so it was a long journey getting to the point of honing down what the concept was going to be. And I think, we went back and forth. He's Italian, so at first we were going to do Italian dinner. Mm. And then we kind of started to think about that more, are we really going to want, I want to have kids one day. Am I really going to want to be at a restaurant every night? A restaurant at night isn't going to make money without a bar, so am I going to want to be at a bar every night? Mm-hmm. So saw this amazingly charming diner in East Oakland that we fell in love with and thought about for a year, and then made an offer and went in, and it was a freight train that we couldn't get off, but it was really, really special and really fun. And but hadn't ever worked with him before our first day. And I think our first day I was like, oh Lord, this is going to be challenging.
We're on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you have to really like have the ability to like keep work at work and keep home at home. And
it's hard to do.
Yeah. I think I just didn't really have the preparation I needed for it, but there's only one way to learn. So
is to get in it and working together as a married couple, but also just doing anything that you are the owner of. The only way you can get into it is to learn. So many people, you know, who are in our age range, you know, they may not have come from entrepreneurial backgrounds. So you are in this space doing this thing that you don't really have a model for. Maybe you've not had any formal training. Most times people haven't had any kind of formal education or training. And they're trying to, you know, figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long had that restaurant, I think that predates my time in the Bay Area. How long had that restaurant been open?
We opened in 2015.
Oh, right as I was getting to the Bay.
We opened in 2015, and it's still there. I was there for 7 years. It's been there for now 10.
Okay.
Which is amazing.
Wow, that's a long run, especially to cross over 2020.
Yep.
All right. How did you know my time at Sequoia Diner, despite the fact my name is on the building, my time at Sequoia Diner is coming to an end?
Well, because my ex-husband was so kind to tell me that the time had come to an end.
Well, that would be one way to know.
But I had also, you know, and I don't want to create some kind of narrative that it wasn't, it was, you know, we were all struggling. We were all being very kind to each other. But I had already created this business myself, Tarocco, and I kind of asked him to be involved, and he wasn't interested. And I was like, all right, well, I believe in this so much, I'm going to do it myself. And it really carried the diner for that first year of the pandemic, which was really amazing, and like gave me kind of the insight that I needed. That like I think I might really be onto something. And so, yeah, I mean, I stayed on for a year after we had separated, and then it was time to find a new space.
Time to find a new space. But you found a beautiful one,
and I couldn't be happier. Yeah.
Yes, and so you come here, and you know, getting now in line, you had the meal delivery service. So was it just like a plug and play? I'm just going to take what I've been doing and just drop it into this location, or what were some of the growing pains as you now had to take a meal delivery service and acclimate it to a whole space?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the space didn't look like this. It had been vacant for years, I think somewhere between 3 and 5 years. I think there was a very unfortunate owner who opened January 2020 and closed March 2020. I know, really unfortunate. But the space, you know, it was dark, and it just needed like new life so desperately. And I think the fact that they sought me out gave me a little leverage, bargaining leverage. And so, yeah, I also am like a designer in my mind. I love to see something and the potential in it. And I came in and I was like, okay, it looks like this now. I know what you're thinking. It looks like this now, but like I'm gonna make it so beautiful. And like I just want a space mainly for women to come and feel nourished and protected and taken care of. And that was so much of and it is so much of my mission, has always been. And so, yeah, like I said, we came in, I had my format of having all the food out, and it was, you know, beautiful, and then that all got shut down, and we went to take out. But I don't really remember much of the first year. I feel like I was just treading water, and like I was not sleeping at night. I was waking up in the middle of the night in tears and panic attacks, like, what the hell have I done? Like, this is so scary. It's like something else that you can't see because this is a podcast, is that the space is 3,000 square feet. It's massive.
It is.
Yeah, and I think it's actually more like 4,000, but I've like kind of sectioned it off, so it's more like 3, but it's really big, and it's really, really like not what an ideal restaurant is. Everybody wants like a quaint spot that just feels like lively and pop in. It's really hard to make a space this big feel full and lively.
Homey, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest challenge, was kind of trying to figure that part out, because a lot of people were scared too at the time, and like not really ready to, you know,
come in because you're inside, you're outside. I remember, all the changes we were going through as we tried to get back to, I guess, normalcy, even though it was a different normal. I feel like just now, maybe in the last year, it's starting to feel like, oh, remember this happened?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but for a while, especially around restaurants, it was very, just people not knowing how long they were going to be able to sustain their business.
Totally. Yeah. And I agree. I really didn't know. And so that's actually like a really big part of my story, is that for the first year and a half, I was kind of treading water and trying to figure out how to make this work. I had a staff of amazing people that I loved and felt were my family, but I was not able to pay my bills, and it was really, really stressful. I was losing money every month. I didn't like have a big chunk of money to like throw in. I've never had any investors. I've just done this myself. And so when the money wasn't there, I panicked. And so this was November of 2023. I sat down my entire staff and I was like, I think I have to close. I think I have to close. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, thank you for all of your work. I respect and honor all of you. Thank you for believing in me, but this isn't working anymore. And I have to figure out what I'm going to do here. I was trying to figure out how to talk to my landlord. I mean, my landlord's amazing, but I was like, I know the meal delivery service works, like events work, but they really want the space to be activated. That was a big part of my lease agreement. And so I had to go to this wedding in Hawaii, my dad's wedding, and I was like, I literally can't afford this, but I'm going to put on my credit card because I have to see my dad get married. And so I went away with my partner, Jason, and I was just like, what am I going to do when we get back? Like, what am I going to do? And he was like, what does your heart say? Like, what have you always wanted Tarocco to be? Like, there's no limitations except for like what you put on yourself. So like, tell me what it is you want. Let's figure out how to do it. And I was like, I want my original concept. Like, I want to have all the food out, and like, instead of maybe having a server serving the food, like maybe it's just me. Like maybe it's just you and me. And that was like our plan. Okay. And so that's what we did. And so I had already let the entire staff go, and we just decided we were going to do it ourselves. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, he's a brilliant cook. He was just like making a bunch of beautiful Mediterranean salads, and I was up here serving it, as and I love that part of the job. I love being with the people. I feel like that's like where I thrive. We quickly realized we needed another person, so I immediately brought back a staff member from before, and I said I would keep doing that, and I have tried to continue to do that. Nice. But yeah, I mean, that's where we got to the model where we have now, because before I had something like 8 employees, and now I have 2. Okay. And that's how I'm able to keep the lights on, and I'm also working my tail off, but it feels good and I love it. Yeah. And that's scaling too. Sometimes when people talk about scaling, they always think about it from the perspective of growing and expanding. Right. Sometimes scaling is, we're going to scale back. Scale back. Right. Oh, and so I'm curious, because coming into this and what you just described, this would be kind of like a second time around for you going into business with a partner. How did you know this time is going to be different? I didn't, but the difference is that I had done it before, and so had he. He'd owned a restaurant with his former partner, so we have that experience, and so we, decided we're going to go to therapy. And I know that's right. They were like, we're going to set this up right from the start. We're going to go to therapy, and we're going to talk about all of these things, and we're going to talk about our concerns, and I've been really lucky that we actually work really, really well together.
That's great.
We have a similar work style, but that wasn't promised, and definitely has its challenges. But we don't bring work home with us, and that's the difference. I think that's the main difference. It's like coming to work, doing your whole thing, and letting home be home.
Yeah, and being willing to take a chance. And one of the things that I love about the business, but also the way you have the way you've expressed it on social media. I even heard somebody, as I was having lunch, I heard someone come in and ask you, I felt like I heard them say, why you're not open either later or earlier or more days. And so let's talk about that for a minute, because, restaurants are, we're here in the morning, we got a breakfast menu, we got a lunch menu, we got a dinner menu, we're here on the weekends. That is not what's happening here.
No.
You are not open on weekends, and
Correct.
you are open for a limited number of hours midday, and that's it.
That's it.
How did you arrive at, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're not going to do?
Well, first of all, I learned the hard way by always being available to everybody all the time. Because if I'm steering the ship, I can't go down. And I have. And it's brutal. So I know that I couldn't do that again. Burnout's real. And so I was like, I have to make sure not to do that again. But also, I think it was more of a business decision than people understand, and it's not just a lifestyle decision as much as it is really important, but also you have to kind of look at where your money's coming in. And I did try to do a little wine hour here at night, but I was like, I don't get to see my kid. My kid's I'm paying for a babysitter. I would rather just be home with my kid at night. And it was kind of all over the place. Sure, we'd have really, really busy nights, but we'd also have really slow days. And so lunch is consistent. I can depend on that.
Yeah.
But I also have the ability to know that if lunch is slow one day, that I have diversified, and I have a meal delivery program that I'm still doing now 5 years later. I also am doing events, which kind of, again, happened organically because people come in and they're like, this space is beautiful. I want to have a birthday party here. So now I, leaned into that, and I'm like, okay, great. We do weddings, we do birthday parties, baby showers. I mean, we've done funerals. It's
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A few, yeah. And beautiful, beautiful memorials, and I think just kind of utilizing what you have and leaning into that, and instead of kind of trying to just, the biggest thing for me really is listening to my intuition and leaning into that, because what got me in trouble my first year was listening to too much external noise.
Wow.
And people being like, hey, you should do sandwiches, or you need to do, everybody just wants a sandwich. And I'm like, I can't even eat sandwiches. I don't, okay, but it was it becomes more of an act of desperation than really passion. And when you're really passionate about something and you really believe in it honestly and truly and are willing to go all in on that, magic happens.
You know what? I had to take a breath on that. I'm a parallel park us here for a second, because this is something for me that I struggle with a lot, is wanting to be open to feedback versus what you just said, listening to yourself. Because sometimes you truly know, I would say most times, you truly know what is in your best interest and what is in your heart. But listening to people, oh, you should do sandwiches, and feeling like I'm trying to meet the demands of my customer, or I'm trying to meet the things that people are saying they want, because you're in business to meet a consumer need. And going against yourself doing that, it's such, and I don't have the answers for it, but it's such to me, a juncture of confusion, because I want to take feedback, but I really do trust myself. And when I hear the message in my mind, Kahja, don't do that.
Don't do
I
it.
almost always regret when I don't listen to it.
That's right.
I'm like, damn, I should have went with my first mind, as my Aunt Retta likes to say. I should have went with my first mind.
That's right. And also, I think our customers are like smarter than we're giving them credit for. Like they're going to immediately see through the BS. Like if we're not being in full alignment, they will immediately recognize that. And like if there's any hesitancy on our side, on our behalf, they are not going to feel comfortable and safe and know that like you are providing them the best that you can.
Yeah.
If you know.
They know you don't want no sandwiches.
They know I don't. I wish that was something I could do. I just can't. So
I'll take amazing vegetables over an okay sandwich.
I'm saying.
Listen, work it out. You know, a lot of times you hear what I'm about to ask you positioned in the opposite way that I'm going to ask you. You hear people say, well, how do you fit, you know, motherhood and wellness and, you know, prioritize yourself with your business? But I'm going to ask you the opposite, because I feel like you really seem to have gotten your arms around the way to do this. How do you fit your business into your prioritized role as a mother and as a partner and just with your own personal wellness?
Good question. Yeah, I think it's just having been down to the bottom of the well and knowing what that's like, and deciding that this time around I was going to, you know, I took a year of really just working so hard on myself and doing all the really, really, really deep shadow work and, you know, being sober, and I'm not anymore, but like I needed that for a year, and a little break and just meditating. And I mean, it's super cheesy, and if anybody who knows me knows that I'm not very woo woo, but like I got really deep into meditation and just getting quiet. And like I think that, you know, if you want your business to thrive, if you want it to thrive long term, you have to like look at you have to decide that the life that you want is going to look that way, and then build around it. And so like so many people go the other way, where they like see the life that they want, and then they decide, they like, okay, well, what do I do to get that? But I think first you start with the life that you want and go all in, and then build the business around that.
I like that. You know, owning a business seems sometimes to, you know, strip people of their life.
Yeah.
And I like that you are, you know, looking at this in just the opposite way, you know, a business that helps inform the life I want to have, not just kind of giving myself over to something, because like we talked about, you know, a lot of times business growth and success gets defined as essentially, when you take all the sprinkles off of it, prioritizing, you know, growth and money over your own self.
Right.
Yeah. So good for you. You like me doing that. Yes.
Thank you.
Good
I mean, it definitely took some failures. Took a lot of failures.
Yeah, to learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard you mention earlier that, you know, with your business, you did not have any investors. And I wonder what you think that would look like if you were opening today, because lots of businesses, and there's no judgment, but I do just, you know, observe lots of businesses, you know, do seem to lean into investing help, even crowdfunding, right, to go from maybe pop-ups to brick and mortar. If you were opening your business today, do you think that that would be a route you would be looking to go down? Or what do you even think about coming into, let me take a step back for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in conversations where people suggest that if you need to do those things to get into the business, it might be that you either are getting in it prematurely, or you may need to go back and take a second look at your product if you need that to get started. On the other hand, rent is high, you know, supply chains are tight, you need things to start. So I understand, you know, if you are not somebody who inherited something, where do you get this influx of cash to get yourself up and started?
I mean, I totally understand, and I also want you to know that I have zero judgment for anybody and how they start their business. I think that anybody that goes into this is powerful and amazing and brave. that being said, for me, well, I will say at the diner, like we did do crowdfunding. It was successful. We made like $30,000, and my ex-husband had some unfortunate situation where he had some inheritance. It wasn't a lot, but like that was actually how we got off the ground from. So I don't want to say that isn't a viable way to go.
Yeah.
However, I didn't have that situation here. And I think that, like, for me, I think it's really dangerous to get involved with investors because, well, because I'm a Leo and I know who I am and I don't like to listen to anybody. But, you know, I think that people, when there's two, it's exactly like what I was saying before, where it's like, if you're not able to listen to your own intuition and you're listening to too many voices, you need someone to steer the ship. It's not going to feel genuine because it isn't. If I had other people making the decisions for me here, who knows what would have happened. And it's really, that's when people's passion goes away. So I think the best way to get into a business is to build slowly. And I think so many people think that it's like, open up, have investors, have a massive opening. And like, no, that's a really great way to, like, you know, get press and
a hype cycle.
But then what happens after that? The people stop coming, you know? Like, my first day here was our biggest day we've ever had, and I've never, you know, I didn't really do any advertising at all. But like, that's what happens with restaurants when they first open. Like, everybody wants to come, and then, but who's going to come consistently? So to me, I think the best route is to just slowly improve your position as much as you can. Start small. I got really lucky that I got into a space that was, you know, during the pandemic. I didn't have free rent. It was less than market value. It is almost at market value now, but I think it's also really, really important for you to have a good relationship with your landlord and someone that's trusting. And if you think about taking investors' money, like, you need to think about what their incentive is, like, what is their motivation.
Yeah.
And if it's to make money, it ain't happening in a restaurant, like, bottom line. So for me, I was really lucky that I got into a space where the incentive from my landlord was to create new life in a space that had been vacant.
Yeah.
And I've done that, and ultimately gave them a space where the other tenants can come and eat, and it looks lively and good. Like, nobody wants a vacant storefront in their building. So
right. And that's, to me, that's the other thing, you know, yes, the money and the startup costs and all of those things, but it's also driving the experience, right? When I come here, I know it's going to be light. There's natural light. I know that there's not going to be a bunch of loud music playing. I know there's not going to be lines and, you know, folks, you know, just overrunning the place. I can bring my laptop. I can work. So it's the experience. Also, I have to say, you know, I'm not going to leave here bursting at the seams because there's not a bunch of things in here that when you leave, you're all bloated and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I know what the experience is when I'm coming here. So, you know, sometimes I want to go somewhere and be bloated. But I know if I'm looking to have a certain kind of experience,
right,
you know, when you go to a certain kind of restaurant. And so I love that not only curating the menu, but you are curating the experience people can expect to have when they come here.
That's right. And like, I think that the thing that I hear more than anything from our customers is that, like, I come here when I need to feel better. And like, I had a really bad day and I just, like, needed to come and eat something that felt really, really good to eat.
Yeah.
And I hear that multiple times a day. And, you know, it's wild how, like, organic growth can work. And like, in the last, you know, year and a half, I think, since Jason's been here, it's been, you know, and then I also want to shout out Chef Alia, who I love so much.
Hey.
But who's been with me since day one and has always believed in my vision, and they are just the most incredible human ever, and I can just talk about them forever. But the thing is that like we have built something over time that like now we're super busy, and that I haven't done any advertising. I just was like, we're just gonna make it really, really good and steady and keep it going. And now like it's bustling and it's summertime, which should be really slow. And like I just think if you're in alignment with your vision, if you're in alignment with your values, they will come. And like, especially if you're able to put your best foot forward, which you can do if you are in full alignment with your vision and your values.
Well, that's a word. And if you serve an amazing rose latte,
that's right.
They will come. Y'all need to come. If for nothing else, that. But I'm sure you will find much more than that when you come. Tell folks where they can find out more about Tarocco and about you.
Great. Well, you can follow us on Instagram at mytarocco, which is MYTAROCCO, and you can follow me on Instagram at Sequoia Del Hoyo, which is SEQUOIA DELHOYO.
All right. Well, I'm going to make sure to post all of that with the show notes. Of course, I'll also drop the address for those of us listening that are here in the Bay Area, so y'all can pull up. If you want to treat me to a rose latte, I will not stop you. Just hit me in the DMs and tell me, hey, I want to go try Tarocco, and I will go with you. And if you want to find out more about me in between episodes, you can find me at kayinthebay.com, or you can find me on Instagram at heykayinthebay. That has been this week's episode of the As Told By podcast from Tarocco in Berkeley. Thank you so much for talking with
Kahja,
me.
Thank you so much. It's always such a treat to see you, and I really appreciate your constant support and just your beautiful podcast. I'm just so proud of it, and you're doing something really special.
Thank you so much. I didn't pay her to say that, y'all. Thank you so much, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.